Good evening and welcome to Space Oddities. Thank you so much for joining us. We are a bit short on the ground tonight. So we've got Michael and we've got Roger and we've got Rachel and Mary. Hello to you all. How are we?
Hello.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. We'd like to send our best wishes to Steve, who is a bit poorly with COVID at the moment. So get well soon, Steve. And Kareem's not here because it's Commonwealth Day in Canada. And we're missing some other people because of various things. So we are rather thin on the ground tonight. So we may end up just doing a little bit of a shorter show tonight because there aren't many of us. So I'd like to welcome you all. If you're new here, thank you for coming here. If you're a regular subscriber, thank you for your continued support. Don't forget that we have a Facebook page, which is just called Space Oddities. You can find us on Facebook where we keep you up to date and announce various things. Tonight we've got our regular features. We've got Roger's Sky Guide and including a new image from the James Webb Space Telescope. We have, of course, Rachel's Viewers Gallery. We would really love you to send in all your astronomical images if you want to. It doesn't matter how rudimentary the equipment that you've taken them on, whether it's, just a mobile phone or, an unfeasibly expensive telescope. We'd love to see your images because we do enjoy looking at them so much. If you would like to send your image in, please can you mail it to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. Very, very simple, spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. And if you could make the subject line of that email gallery entry, that's gallery entry, and that'll help us spot it immediately, and Rachel can do the requisite things with it. So without further ado, I'd like to hand you over to the man who knows everything about what's up in the night sky. So Roger, what's up?
I think that's a bit of an overstatement on knowledge of the night sky tonight.
I'm just trying to build you up, mate. That's
all right then.
I thought we were resurrecting Patrick Moore for a minute then.
The answer is we simply do not know.
All right. Okay, right. Okay, so here we go then. Share the screen. And here we go. Right, okay, so here we are for the week of the 10th to the 16th of October 2022. So this week's phases, we've come out from a harvest full moon, and we're working our way back to a waning gibbous moon. So we'll be getting to the last quarter into the next week. But if you're interested in solar astronomy, this is what the sun looked like today, and there's rather an interesting gathering of sunspots on there at the moment, and well worth having a look if you can very safely. I was using solar film over the front of the telescope to block out all that harmful bright light, and managed to capture quite a few good groups of sunspots, which are gradually improving over the last few days. So was rather pleased with that.
You weren't kidding when you said there were quite a few. My goodness, that's a lovely gathering, isn't it?
Yeah, it's come out quite well today, although I wasn't able to catch them traversing across earlier due to the clouds, and so I wasn't able to see them going across, but I managed to catch them today as we've had sunshine all day.
Wow,
that worked
and of course
out
the interesting thing about sunspots is that they are only dark in comparison to the background. And if you were to see a sunspot shining on its own, it would be shining brighter than an arc lamp, and it's only because they are slightly less bright than the background that they appear dark to us, but they are extremely radiant features in their own right, aren't they?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so here we go for the weekly roundup of the planets in the night sky. I've got this on to earlier in the night. So because the planets are rising up earlier, especially Mars. Looks like we're coming through. I seem to have got this a bit transposed. We are in the southern hemisphere here when I've got it in the northern hemisphere.
I was going to say, I saw the southern towards I saw there. I thought, what?
Whoopsie. But
Never
obviously,
mind.
yeah, it's all going wrong.
Yeah.
Well, just while
And-
you're doing that in the chat, Lee says, see, even during the day now, Roger gets clear skies day and night.
Yes, the joys of living in Somerset.
Yep, indeed. Indeed.
But yeah, this is now at 10 o'clock this evening. We've got Mars, Jupiter and Saturn all getting quite visible during as the hours now it's starting to get dark. And the Pleiades are starting to climb up quite nicely as well. So winter is on its way now. So we'll be looking forward to how that goes. And
I'm seeing the Pleiades about midnight at the moment. It's so depressing.
yeah. And of course, later in the week on the 14th, we've got the moon near the planet Mars. So that might make an interesting picture. We did have the moon and Jupiter quite close to each other a couple of nights back, which was making a few interesting photographs as well. So we've also got some meteor showers of southern torids coming up through. So
yeah,
that might be of interest. Now we're catching up with the southern horizon, the Antipodean skies. And as you can see over towards the east, you've got Orion up quite nicely. So
yeah,
that would get Rachel quite excited.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Right. Okay, so we've got an image from the James Webb, and it's just showing a comparison of the James Webb with an image from the Hubble, and it gives a comparison of some lensing on a galaxy which is here, which I shall put onto the next slide. It just gives you the effect of how much lensing can happen from that sort of galaxy. So I'm not quite sure where galaxy VV191 is, but it just gives you the effect quite dramatically from our viewpoint from the James Webb there.
That's beautifully smeared out, isn't it? Yeah.
So, and that's all I can find for the James Webb from this last 7 days, I'm afraid.
Yep, I don't think there's been much released this week.
No. We haven't had any more planetary images of our local solar system lately, but maybe that might be on the cards at some point in the future, maybe of Pluto or something.
We haven't seen Saturn yet, have we? I don't think.
No.
Oh, that would be nice.
Love
to see Saturn in the infrared.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Roger. One thing I did forget, which was very remiss of me, we also have Daz with us, sort of, tonight. Daz is actually visiting me here in Spain, and he's on the hotel Wi-Fi trying to connect. And when you hear the words hotel Wi-Fi, you know exactly what to expect. So Daz is having big connection problems, which is a shame. But he's with us in spirit, if not personally. And he can hear everything that's being said, panel, so do be careful. And we hope you can manage to connect to us at some point. It's really strange because he's only 10 minutes down the road, but you know, hotel Wi-Fi, what can you say? Does it ever work? Okay, so moving on, Michael, I think you've got some rather interesting things for us tonight.
Yes, I have, and if you remind me, I'll just share my screen. Again, I'll try and get it right this time. Okay, have you got my screen?
Yes, we have.
Okay. Okay, the first thing I've got, China has launched a new solar telescope into space. It's the Advanced Space-Based Solar Observatory, or the ASO, which will provide critical insight on the two most violent activities of the Earth's closest star, solar flares and coronal mass ejections. The telescope is also nicknamed Kuafu 1, after a giant in Chinese mythology who chased the sun. and it was launched by the Long March 2D rocket from the Zhejiang Satellite Launch Center in northwest China's Gobi Desert. The telescope is a 1 meter diameter telescope, weighed 859 kilograms at launch, and it will be orbiting at 720 kilometers above the Earth. Okay, so they actually launched another satellite last year, which was the Chinese Hydrogen Alpha Solar Explorer.
That's right.
Which was that satellite actually served as a precursor to the ASO satellite that we now see has gone up last night. So that was late last night our time. Okay, another bit of news. The Capstone, the little CubeSat that's going to go into the same proposed orbit that NASA's Gateway station is going to be orbiting at. That suffered a problem recently, which caused the spacecraft to tumble, and they couldn't get a proper lock on the communications with the satellite. Apparently, what the engineers and experts came up with when they did an analysis of the data that was coming from the satellite, they found that it was a valve-related issue on one of the spacecraft's 8 thrusters. The valve was partially open, which resulted in thrust from the associated thruster whenever the propulsion system was pressurized.
Nice.
To attempt recovery from the condition, the mission team conducted multiple tests on the vehicle and evaluated extensive telemetry and simulation data, and then formulated a plan attempting recovery. That plan was sequence was uploaded on Thursday and was executed on the Friday morning. And the initial telemetry and observation data after the recovery attempts to a successful recovery of the system. So they've got the 3-axis attitude control back to normal, it seems now.
Because
So,
the Capstone has been a bit of a problem since it was launched, hasn't it? They
that's
lost
right.
it twice, was it? I think.
Yeah. So
Now they've had the valve problem.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And talking of valve problems, NASA's Juno spacecraft, if you remember, had a similar problem, which meant that they couldn't get it into the orbit around Jupiter that they wanted, the sort of the low orbit.
Right.
So it does an approach to Jupiter now every 57 days. It's in a long elliptical orbit because of the valve problem.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we're still getting those fantastic images of Jupiter, and Juno's found out a lot about the interior of Jupiter that we didn't know, and there were big questions about. So you know, what can one say? Space is hard. That's it.
Yeah. So hopefully that will be successful for the mission now. So we'll see about that. So the next one I've got is a little bit about InSight.
Oh God, look at poor InSight.
I know. Look, all the dust on the solar panels, not doing it any good. The dust storm in question that's causing this is over about 3,500 kilometers away, but it's just so volatile in its nature that dust is reaching InSight and causing loss of power on the solar panels. So basically, the mission team is getting that InSight to basically wait out the storm, and just got to wait until it passes. I mean, there's not much time left on the mission itself, actually, but so they obviously want to get as much data as possible for the mission until the very last, you know. So
it hasn't been lucky like the Mars rovers,
right? Yeah,
which had the same problem with dust on the panels, but luckily it was blown off by probably some passing dust devils. So you know, I think they're saying that they're not expecting the mission to last much beyond Christmas.
Yeah, that's true. They're saying here that the dusty haze in the Martian atmosphere had increased by nearly 40% around InSight. So, you know, Okay, so that's that one. The Expedition 68 on the International Space Station. The crew numbers have increased to 11. You can see just about to see 11 astronauts and cosmonauts there. The one astronaut is actually behind Samantha Christopher there. Bent down just before the screen grab was taken, unfortunately. But yeah, there's 11 crew members on the ISS now. The SpaceX Crew 4 will return in a few days' time. So you've got SpaceX Crew 4 crew and SpaceX Crew 5 crew on board. So you've got two SpaceX Dragons actually docked to the ISS at the moment.
And it was another flawless launch, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Just one question, Michael. Are you sure you have got that photograph the right way up?
Is there such thing as an up or down in space?
That's right. That's right. There was. I remember seeing some. I'm not going to swear. Some mentally challenged person on YouTube who came up with a video explaining how they did all of this with wires and harnesses. That of course it's all fake and it's all done with wires. And you're saying, if you look at this astronaut, he puts his hand to his left hand side to unclip the harness with the wire, and it just went into this great detail. I mean, such an imagination about how this is all done with wires.
Right.
Yeah, there we are.
Brilliant. Okay, just a couple of other things. Tonight, for those of you in the UK, we have the Sky at Night question time special. That's at 10 o'clock tonight, and it will be 10 o'clock on the 10th of October, on the 10th day of the 10th month. So that's 10 o'clock tonight, an hour-long question time for the Sky at Night. Okay, so if anyone's interested in that,
I wish I could watch it live.
Yeah.
I really.
And lastly, just like to say that Go Space Watch has a talk coming up a week on Thursday, on the 20th of October, all about Skyrora, Skyrora Transforming Life from Space, by Rosie Hall, who's business analyst at Skyrora. So anyone is welcome to join us for that one as well. If you want details of that, just go to the website at gospacewatch.earth. So,
Michael, I would love to attend that, but it's my birthday. So
that's okay.
I think I shall be elsewhere. Put it like that.
Okay, right.
Are these events recorded by any chance, Michael?
Generally, they are, yes. So I should be able to do that one. So,
thank you, because I'd like to see that one about Skyrora, because we're a bit uncertain about what was going to happen with Skyrora because of the Ukraine war.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I just need to get the permission from the speaker to record it beforehand. That's all.
Okay, yeah, because I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you'd like to learn about Skyrora, of course, is one of the upcoming rocket companies that are going to be launching from the UK, and if you follow the Angry Astronaut on YouTube, which I'd highly recommend, he's just done a series of videos. He flew over from America to go right up to the tip of Shetland to Saxavord to see the UK's spaceport at Saxavord under construction. They've started building it, and the first flights out of Saxavord will be coming up, they say, first quarter next year, that quickly. So we should all be proud that Britain is going to be Europe's only European spaceport. So that's really something to look forward to.
Another piece of news I should have said, of course, is the Spaceport Cornwall will have their first flight to Virgin Orbit's Cosmic Girl next month.
Oh yes,
I need to bring you some more details about that nearer the time. So
we should mention Spaceport Cornwall as well. So there'll be Spaceport Cornwall and Saxavord, and the UK really now on the map with space launches after a gap of what, Michael, 50 years, I guess.
50 years, yeah.
Yeah. So lots to look forward to. So anyway, I've got a few news items. Just give me 1 second to sort this out. And just a few items that caught my attention, which I think you will find interesting. Okay, 1 second. Okay, right, 1 second. It doesn't seem to be working. Oh dear. Right, okay, here we are. Coming up right now. Okay, hope you can all see this. This is an item about the US rocket company Astra and their relationship with NASA, because NASA have a program of launching little CubeSats to monitor hurricanes. And with the recent terrible start to the hurricane season, the tragic start with Hurricane Ian and a couple of others that have hit the Americas recently, NASA want to get these monitoring satellites, which are designed to obviously monitor hurricanes and to spot hurricanes forming, into the orbit as quickly as possible. Now, a little while ago, a couple of months ago, the US company Astra went to launch one of these satellites, which are called Tropic, and the launch failed and the satellite was lost. And in fact, this was the latest in a series of failed Astra launches. Anybody on the panel remember the rocket that launched sideways? Do you remember that? Yeah. And their satellite launcher, which is called rather prosaically Rocket 3.3, it's basically had a dreadful record. And NASA have now said that they are looking for another supplier. So they've put a tender out to 13 companies to launch these crucial hurricane monitoring satellites. So that was the first thing. The next thing concerns the planet Mars, and they've done a study of what the biosphere of Mars may have been like 3.3 billion years ago, assuming that there were microbes like there were on the early Earth. And what they've discovered is that because of the way that the atmosphere was, as they did on the Earth, the microbes were absorbing hydrogen in the atmosphere, but because there was so much more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, the byproduct of their processes was to emit methane. Whereas on the Earth, of course, it was the oxygen that the microbes were regurgitating that put all the oxygen into Earth's atmosphere. And this had the effect, paradoxically, because methane is actually a greenhouse gas. But because of the way things worked then, they think that the methane was actually responsible for cooling the atmosphere of Mars down. And we know that Mars may have had lakes or even oceans on its surface and had a warm, wet atmosphere at some point, billions of years ago. But they think if there had been microbes on the surface, the effect would have been that they managed to cool down the atmosphere, which would have been in part for the reason why Mars' atmosphere cooled. And to carry out this study, they looked at Earth, they looked at the way that water interacts with the mantle, and the way that the Earth's crust is sort of recycled because of plate tectonics and continental drift. And they applied the same ideas to Mars, and they found that these, had there been microbes, they would have had the effect of cooling the Martian atmosphere down. So that was quite interesting. The next one concerns exoplanets. There's been a study of exoplanets, and they found that planets like the Earth, where we have a mix of about 70% water and 1% ocean, 30% ocean, they think that Earth-sized planets in the solar system may have been very rare. And looking at Earth-sized planets in the galaxy, they think that basically about 80% of the Earth-sized planets in the galaxy may be all land, and 19% may be all water. And they say the tendency for planets to become mainly land and mainly water is a lot greater than what we have on the Earth. And of course, the presence of our oceans on the Earth has a lot to do with the emergence of life. So this was another interesting study saying basically that planets like ours in the galaxy may be very rare. And next, on this day, October the 10th, 1967, the Outer Space Treaty was signed. And this was a treaty aimed to open space up for the good of mankind or humankind and not allow specific countries to take control of it. And the treaty was signed on this day in 1967. And part of the treaty says the exploration and use of outer space shall be carried out for the benefit of and in the interests of all countries and shall be the province of all mankind. So up to now, I think about 100 countries have signed and ratified the treaty. Another part of the treaty also says that nobody can own anything. So all these companies trying to sell you square miles or square kilometers of the moon's surface and charging you money for it, it's a complete scam, because the Outer Space Treaty clearly says that no country or indeed any individuals can lay claim to anything in space. So that's an interesting thing. All those years ago in 1967, the Outer Space Treaty was signed. And the next and the last item I've got for you concerns NASA's mission to Titan, which is a helicopter or a rotorcraft, as they're calling it, called Dragonfly, which is going to parachute onto the surface of Titan in the year 2034. So we've got another 12 years till it arrives at Titan. It's about the size of a car, and it hopes to do about 10 kilometers a day. So it's going to cover a lot more ground than, for example, the little Ingenuity helicopter on Mars. And NASA have now decided where it's going to land on Titan. Now, Titan, of course, is especially interesting to us because it's like an Earth in deep freeze, where hydrocarbons play the role that water plays on the Earth. It's exceptionally cold. It's about minus 180 degrees Celsius on Titan. And Dragonfly is going to parachute onto the area known as Shangri-La. Now, this is a radar image from NASA's Cassini spacecraft. It's very indistinct, but what you can hopefully see is that this is a field of sand dunes. And there's also ice there. So there's some very promising things to look at. And this is where Dragonfly is going to land in 2034. There was another study I remember about 2 years ago that said the dunes on Titan may be electrostatically charged. So there may be a lot of electricity floating around there as well, which is a really bizarre environment, but we'll find out in 2034. So that is what I've got for you today. And I hope that you enjoyed those.
Can't wait to go back to Titan.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And I'm now going to hand you over to Rachel with this week's Viewers Gallery. What have you got for us, Rachel?
I've got a good combination this week of everything. So I will share my screen and show you. Okay. Let me just change the screen so you can see. There we go. So we've got it's kind of a panel gallery mixed with I think one other member, so it's a nice little intimate gallery today. So we've got a few from Roger. So I don't know if Roger wants to just talk through his own images and talk a little bit about the Heart Nebula.
Well, it's nothing like Rachel does, but this is the first time I've actually done an image of it, and I was using my new camera that I had to see what I could get with it. And over the time that I did this picture, it's absolutely dickered full of stars. So
Wow.
I was trying to reduce the stars down a bit. So that's not grain, that's star reduction, which I haven't done very successfully. But that's from the full frame of the camera that I just managed to get pretty much most of it in. So yeah, it's okay. It's a start.
Typical of you, isn't it? You take a lovely image of a starry sky and say, "Now let's get rid of the stars."
Yeah. Try and do a reduced star thing like Rachel does, and
Call yourself an astronomer, dear me.
I know.
If you want to see stars, go image a globular cluster, Andy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You want to see a nebula, you want to see the nebula. But yeah, no, it's a lovely image, Roger, and
is,
it's
it
a
is a
really
lovely
busy star field, so it's really
Very busy.
it's hard to get rid of all the stars, and
Yeah.
but no, lovely. And then we've got Roger again with a part of one of my favorite constellation objects, the little running man.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely.
I thought it might be sort of being left out from its bigger Orion Nebula, which is just off to the right there. So I thought I'd just focus on that for a bit.
Yeah, I don't think you get that on its own very often, do you? It's
Yeah.
always sort of a sidekick to M42, but I think
So I'll have another go with the new camera on that, because you've obviously got bloated out, burnt out stars there. So we'll have another go at that later on.
Do you know, I've never managed to see it as a running man. I know it's the running man there, but I just can't see it. I really can't.
Me
Is it
neither.
just me? Oh, you know that, Mary. Oh, that's good.
I just see a gingerbread man. That's what I
Me
see.
too.
Yeah.
Gingerbread
Yeah.
man to me. But the
Yeah.
running man's sideways on from that apparently, and I just don't see it.
I don't see it either.
Yeah, no, I can't see it then.
A bit of darkness towards the mid right looks a bit like ET.
And then we've got another one from Roger, who's going for M45 this time. So I don't know if you've got anything else to say about this one, Roger.
Oh, that's
Well,
This
that's
is a
just
target I've never done successfully. We tried this and it was just awful. So I might have another go this year, 'cause
yeah.
we can't get anything close to all that lovely wispy nebulosity
That is
around.
very
That's
wispy.
because you don't live in Sparkford.
That's the problem.
it's on the way. It's on the way around again, isn't it?
Yeah. It's coming up, so you can start to image it. But this is
Yeah.
just 3 hours of 60-second exposures,
Wow,
and
3 hours. Oh god.
That's,
yeah, it comes out quite well.
That is really wispy, isn't it? It's
Very
beautiful.
And I think this is the image that you need to, you need the rest of those stars in there. If you took those away or reduced them, I think it would just look really strange.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would. Are you listening, Roger?
Roger, are you going to produce a calendar for next year?
No,
But other
that's cool.
people do, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I could probably do one just on the moon, couldn't I?
You could do a Space Oddities calendar.
I could.
Now that's a good idea. We should do
Should.
viewers gallery Space Oddities
Yeah.
calendar. But the only drawback to that, I think, is that people might get upset that their images weren't included,
Yeah.
unless we made 24 months in the year, of course.
Yeah.
So our next image is from Andy, and I think again he's watching tonight. It's not the Bubble Nebula, it's the Flaming Star, which I think I want to say is in Auriga. So he's obviously Andy sends in these really gorgeous cropped up images, and he felt it's fit into the nightmare theme of Halloween.
Oh, that is a nightmare.
Ooh.
And I think
Oh,
it's
look
just
at
so
that.
moody. It's just sort of flat red, but it's so.
Andy, that is truly amazing. That is
So,
lovely. And
I
that
don't think
is
I've ever seen a
Halloween.
version of the Flaming Star Nebula like framed that way.
Mm.
Well
which
done,
is
Andy.
It's really, really nice.
That's lovely.
So I think we've gone for a Heart Nebula theme. So I know Mary, Roger, and myself have all put one in. So obviously I've put in ours recently because we've just got a new mono camera, and although we've not been able to fully use it, we took advantage of the low moon a week or so ago and managed to get 3 hours of oxygen. So we went for my favorite target. We went for the Heart Nebula. And what I've done is I've done a data blend. So I've actually combined the 03 from the mono camera with the 6 hours previous of the one-shot color, just to see what we got.
Wow.
Oh,
Sounds very complicated to me, Rich.
Well, we've always struggled to get that pool of blue oxygen in the middle, obviously with our previous cameras. But just you can just see adding the mono data from that to the other is really, it was just there. I didn't have to sort of oversaturate it or pull it out. It just popped up and I was so excited. So hopefully we'll get some more chance now when the moon goes a little bit. We'll do the target properly and see how we go.
too many stars, Rachel.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot of stars for me. I'd left some in. So I am a fiend for a star reduction, but we all have our styles, I guess. And I think that's why everybody's are so awesome, because everybody's looks so different. And then we've got some from Mary as well. So I don't know if Mary wants to, she might as well talk through her own images as well, Mary.
Yeah, well, we've been having some technical issues with our 10-inch Dobsonian, so I keep getting it out to try to resolve those, and I had a go at Jupiter. We've never got a better picture than we have with this telescope, and yeah, this wasn't the greatest, but I was having to manually slew because the telescope wouldn't track. So I was shooting a video with an ASI 120 color, one-shot color camera, and just 2,000 frame video while manually nudging Jupiter to keep it in frame. So the fact any frames are actually sharp is astonishing, to be honest. And that's IO next to it. So the Great Red Spot was better visually than it was on the photographs, but it was not the most ideal imaging session, has to be said.
I think it's a lovely image though. That's really nice.
Yeah.
I think the details and colours so lovely.
And which moon is that on the left?
IO.
It's Io, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you can tell by the color.
I suspect that may be me boosting the contrast a bit much, but I'll take that.
And then oh, sorry about that, we've got another Heart Nebula again. Mary, if you want to talk through.
We don't need long on this one, having seen the other two. This was the first time I've ever used our quad band filter because Mark keeps hogging it. So it was using our small William Optics 70mm refractor and an Astro modded digital SLR. So again, one-shot color, but Astro modded.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I did a lot of star reduction too, but you can't tell. But yeah, I was expecting to get some of that blue, like you said, Rachel, given that it was the quad band, but all that was in there was red and orange. And
it's really hard. Our enhance, and we use that filter all the time. I use it for everything, and I would love it, but it just really does seem to struggle with the blue. I think you need such a big amount of data to even get a little bit. And we were the same. We just mostly got lots of reds, you know, but nothing remotely came out of the blue at all.
No, I mean, I've never imaged this target before. I've never used the quad band before, so it was all a bit of a learning curve. It's only about the 5th time I've ever used my modded camera, to be honest, because the only time they're a benefit to you is when you're imaging something red. The rest of the time it's a hindrance. So so yeah, it's always fun just trying new targets, isn't it? And it gives you something to improve on.
Yeah, and to finish with, it's a different type of image, which is amazing.
So this is not a photograph, it is a pastel sketch based on the James Webb Telescope image of Eta Carina that was in the first launch of their images. And ever since I saw that, I knew I wanted to draw it. So this is on black paper with coloured pastels, using lots of different blending techniques, and just tried to capture a section of it. Originally, I'd intended to do all of it, but I made a mistake when I zoomed in and forgot to zoom out again. So I adapted it to be a part of that bigger image. And it's interesting, I've made 2 versions of this because I'm copying this from a space probe image that has 6-sided star spikes on it. And I suck at drawing star spikes. So I digitally added star spikes afterwards. But I've shown this one because I think it's nice to see what the Webb images would look like. Well, this doesn't look like the Webb image, but what that field would look like without the star spikes. Because as much as I like star spikes, they are quite intrusive on the Webb images. So I kind of like the fact that I've got both versions. And so, yeah, I know star spikes really split the crowd and I personally like them. But for this, I prefer the non-spiked one, actually. So
I just love
nice
like the blending above the ridge. I think that that what you've got going up is just amazing.
I need to use that technique on Aurora to do some Aurora sketching because it's got that feel, isn't it?
You have that same sort of look, you know, behind the Horsehead Nebula, that curtain of that. I think it's the same sort of style, but I love that part.
Well, I learned how to do that sweeping blend when I did a sketch of the Horsehead Nebula. So, you know, every sketch you do, you learn something new. So, yeah. And I think it's good for people that may not have like a big telescope who want to get into sketching. Just look through the Hubble archive because there's a wealth of things you can copy there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can reach that through hubblesite.org. That will give you a pathway into the gallery there, and you know, it's just thousands of Hubble images. I will say, Mary, that I like the on the brighter stars, if you like, the bit of nebulosity around them. I think that's really nice, and I actually prefer that to the diffraction spikes. I think that looks much nicer. So, and
It's a
this
bit more
was
subtle.
This was pastels, you said.
Just pastels, and the stars were done with a Posca paint pen, but the rest is
Right.
pastels.
You see, I think I know where I'm going wrong. I've been trying to draw with fruit pastels, so that's probably where I'm
Yeah.
going wrong. So,
Never works. I always
no,
eat
it
them
never
all too
works.
quickly.
No, there we are. I've learned something thanks to you, Mary. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's it for the gallery this week.
Right, and don't forget, as I was saying earlier, viewers, that if you would like to send us your images, you know, no matter what equipment you've used, even if it's just a pinhole camera or, you know, anything, if you'd like us to see them and share them with our audience, then please email them in to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com, and please put gallery entry as the title of your email, and thank you for that. And while we're here doing a bit of housekeeping things, please do like and subscribe. If you like what we do, please like and subscribe, because we only have about 30% of our viewers who've actually subscribed at the moment. So your subscriptions, which of course is totally free. I have met people who think that when you subscribe to a YouTube channel, it means you have to pay, as you will with a magazine, for example, but you don't have to pay. It's all free. So, you know, just take a second to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you'll be told when we've got shows coming up. And thank you for that, because likes and subscribes really do help our efforts expand, and that will allow us to, you know, do more things. One of those, of course, has been the competition that we ran in September. To the children's art competition. We will be doing a competition in October. I was hoping to announce the details this week, but it will be next week now. So next Monday, we will be announcing the details of October's competition, including what you can win, because it will be a different prize every month. So tune in next Monday to find out how you might win a lovely prize. And we should, of course, at this point say a big thank you to Rother Valley Optics for working in association with us, for sponsoring us. And Rother Valley Optics have kindly agreed to donate a prize to Space Oddities for you viewers to win every month. So tune in next Monday for an opportunity to win something. And we don't know what it's going to be yet, but I will tell you all about it next week. Okay. Does anybody have any other news that they want to share with us? No? Okay, one thing I'd like to just mention is that SpaceX have just rolled booster B7 from the high bay fabrication building back to the orbital launch mount in preparation for raising it onto the launch mount and then stacking Starship S-24 on top of it in preparation for SpaceX's first orbital attempt, which will probably be in late November, looking at it. That's what they're aiming for. This will be an historic flight for SpaceX, the first attempt to get their Starship into orbit. It will be the tallest, it is the tallest rocket ever built, exceeding the height of the Saturn V by a good few meters, and also the most powerful with its 33 Raptor engines. Between now and November, the booster B7 will be undergoing quite a long series, I think, of ground tests with static fires, starting with a few of its 33 engines and then building all the way up to a massive static fire of all 33 of its engines. And SpaceX are engineering like crazy at the moment in preparation for that. And Starship does have the promise of opening up space travel, not just into Earth orbit, but to the moon, Mars, and beyond at a phenomenally low price. And just to tell you, just to give an example of what I mean by a low price, is that NASA's SLS rocket, which is awaiting its first uncrewed mission around the moon, the SLS is estimated to cost $4 billion per launch, and the SpaceX Starship eventually is going to cost about $2 million per launch. So the cost of getting into space is going to be dropped dramatically. And I was watching something today that said, you know, it posed the question, what can Starship be used for? And Elon Musk has said, whatever your imagination can conjure up. So, you know, it's got a great future for all sorts of missions, crewed missions, uncrewed missions, satellite delivery, satellite recovery, launching space probes. It's going to be such a versatile vehicle. And of course, at $2 million a launch, it's going to be phenomenally cheap to fly something on space on Starship for space companies. So I think we've got a very exciting future. I'm sure the panel are quite excited to see this first launch.
Definitely.
Because
Have we got any more details on SLS launch? I know it's next month now, isn't
no,
it?
they haven't released a fixed date yet.
Right.
But there are ongoing problems.
Yeah.
I mean, they have said that they're unlikely to fix all of the hydrogen leaks. But you know, this is what you get when you work with hydrogen as a fuel, that the molecules are so tiny because it's diatomic hydrogen, they can fit through any gap. You know, they're having great problems plugging the leaks. But no, I haven't heard anything recently about the exact date for the first flight. I mean, it is an exciting flight, isn't it? The first time NASA will have sent a rocket of that type to the moons since the Apollo days. So, you know, it's really exciting. And if it works, it'll be fantastic. But the whole program has been beset with problems, incompetent contractors, massive cost overruns, still ongoing. And, you know, many space experts are saying it's just not viable as an ongoing program.
And Europe, I believe Europe are already on the third or the fourth service module for Artemis.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
they haven't even got the first one up yet.
Yeah, exactly. And they're racing ahead with the production of their service modules.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, as I said earlier, because we are very thin on the ground in terms of panel tonight, I think that will just about do us for tonight. And I'd like to thank the panel for being here and adding their contributions, which are always most valuable. So thank you, panel. And we'll be back next week, of course, on Space Oddities, 8 o'clock UK time. Thank you for watching. Do like and subscribe. Don't forget to send your gallery entries in. A big thank you again to Rother Valley Optics for sponsoring us. And have a great week. And we will look forward to seeing you here again next week. So you want to say goodbye, panel?
Bye.
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 Okay, from Space Oddities, we'll see you next week. Take care and have a great week. Bye-bye.